Hello, I'm Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books, and I'm going to do a sort of combined group video about the non-fiction audiobooks I have been listening to throughout non-fiction November. If you hear some slightly odd snuffling noises, I have a dog right next to me and a baby only a few feet away from me, but the only way I'm going to get a video film is by doing it now when my toddler is asleep, because I tried it when any of them were more than just two of them were awake, and it was just absolute chaos. So let's see if I can get some videos filmed, even though this light is obviously nighttime light. So I've been listening to quite a few audiobooks because I find it a lot easier at the moment to get to listen to books rather than to read books. And I've been listening to quite a few, and they're all quite different. The first one, I'm only going to hold them up briefly because of obviously the light. The Last Wilderness by Neil Ansell, A Journey into Silence. This was a really interesting book. I picked it up because Mel seemed to really enjoy it, and I tend to enjoy the books she does. And yep, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is following Neil Ansell as he does plenty of walks on his own. He's in, I think, his late 40s, early 50s was the vibe I got, that sort of age. If not maybe a little bit older, and he's doing lots of solo walks throughout northern Scotland and around the Highlands, and it was very interesting. I enjoyed his attitude towards nature, his attitude towards conservation. He has done a lot of solo travelling and is very much a sort of just go with back, sleep outdoors, go sort of person. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating. It really made me laugh at one point because he was saying about how things have changed now that people have mobile phones, because even technically if you're on your own, you now often have the ability to be able to contact people if something went wrong, which is very different to how things used to be, and how he didn't have one for quite a long time, but then even he couldn't be stubborn enough to still not have a mobile phone these days, which made me laugh. My mother-in-law doesn't have a mobile phone. Love you, Janet. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I really liked the narration on this, and yep, I don't really have tons to say about it, but I thought it was very enjoyable. The next book that I really enjoyed was, no, that's really not going to show up, Lucy Worsley's Queen Victoria, Daughter, Wife, Mother, Widow. I really like Lucy Worsley. I've reviewed a number of her books previously, and I've got the other ones ready to read in the coming months because I love her shoes. I'm sure she has nice shoes, but I like her TV shows. And I've got quite a few of her books over there that I have thoroughly enjoyed previously. I'm interested in Queen Victoria. I don't really like her, but I think she's very interesting. And I thought Lucy Worsley's attitude towards it and take on it was really interesting. She looks at 24 different days throughout Queen Victoria's reign, which was a really nice way to do it. Partially I liked the spread of the dates. It really did cover a large different chunk of her reign. Sometimes people focus more on like the Kensington years or after Albert has died, but this sort of covered really quite a large part of Victoria's life, and looking at different days and how those days were representative of her attitudes towards things, her relationship with people, and it really was looking at the human side of Victoria and her relationships, and I thought it was very good. Again, I don't have the reason that I am doing a bunch of reviews all together with these is that I don't have absolutely tons to say about them, but I'd recommend them. I'd recommend it. I really enjoyed it, and I probably will pick it up in a physical format at some point because I think audiobooks I do enjoy, but I think I get more out of the books when I have time to really focus and read them myself. So I look forward to maybe returning to that book in the future because I think I would get even more out of it. One of the next ones that I did actually really enjoy as an audiobook, and I'm glad I did read it, or well, I read it, it's not, you don't read it as an audiobook, you listen to it. That annoys me, bugbear, but hey ho. One that I enjoyed listening to was Turning the Tide on Plastic, and I think I did particularly enjoy this as an audiobook rather than as a physical book, was that at the end she interviews a number of people and you actually hear the proper interviews rather than reading a transcript, and I think that worked really well. The clue's in the title. It is looking at the problem of single-use plastic in modern day society, and then the latter half is looking at what as individuals we can do to stop our own use of single single-use plastic, which is something that is very important to me. We have a sort of, well, we attempt to not have it in the house and to not use it when we're out and about. And this was really good. There was a few tips and tricks that I hadn't heard of before, and I think if this is something you are interested in but have never actually really attempted to implement in your life, this would be a really good starting point. I like Lucy Siegle. I think she's really good. Her book on fast fashion, Dying for Fashion or something like that, I can't remember exactly the title, but I read that a few years ago and it really made me reassess where I was going to buy clothes from the future. And it certainly made me never, ever, ever purchase snakeskin. Not that I particularly like snakeskin, but ever again, because it's horrific. But that's beside the point. This book on plastic was very good, very interesting. I thought it was a nice mix of why it's a problem, the big corporation side of things, and then looking at the personal and the individual and how changes can be made. So I really enjoyed that. I don't know how different it is to any other books written on that topic, because I have read a lot of articles online, blogs, things like that, or YouTube videos, but I haven't read any other books on this subject. So if you have read something that is similar to this, leave it down below if you thought it was good, because I would be really interested to read more around this subject or something similar, because it's something I'm quite passionate about. Another book I listened to, if it'll come up, was, oh goodness me, right, isn't just trying to load, so I'm not going to show you an image because there's just no need. Lagom, The Swedish Art of Living a Balanced and Happy Life by Niki Brantmark. I didn't think this was, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just a bit meh. Lagom is the idea that of enough, basically have enough, use enough, enjoy enough, but don't always be wanting for more, and don't try and punish yourself for too little. The book was fine. I don't know if it, in a physical one, whether it might be one of those very pretty books like the Hygge book that I reviewed with a little bit of Hygge or something like that I read a while ago, that I thought was fairly useless but very pretty and might make a nice Christmas present. I think the Lagom one is the same. There's the... So it's quite pretty, it looks very stylised, so I think the physical book might be quite nice as a little gift. But I just think all of the sort of, we've got Fika now and Hygge, and I just think that it's a little bit overdone now, this whole sort of Scandi everything. We need a Scandi word for like living rationally. Other than that, I am still listening to a few books. Storms of My Grandchildren, The Truth About the Coming Climate Catastrophe and The Last Chance to Save Humanity by James Hansen. So far so good, but I'm only about an hour into it, so not got tons to say about that. I'm also listening to The Strangest Family because Lil has been raving about this book for so long. I'm loving it, I've really enjoyed it. I've listened to it a few times, but because I'm sort of listening to stuff in the middle of the night while I'm feeding a baby, I occasionally fall asleep, or at least my brain falls asleep even if I'm awake. So I'm still going through it to get the most out of it because it is very, very good. And if I can find her review video, I'll link her review video down because she actually talks about it in great detail, and I agree, it's a good book. The other one that I'm listening to is Tracy Borman's Witches and Thomas Williams' Viking Britain. I haven't really got far enough into either of those to say really what I think about them, but yeah, so far they're both good, fine, but very little else to say about them. Those are the books I've been listening to. If you have any really great audiobook recommendations, please leave them down below. I'm less into fiction audiobooks, I'm more into non-fiction audiobooks, but either way, if you think there's any that I really should check out, please do leave them down below. Do you listen to audiobooks? Have you been listening to audiobooks for Non-Fiction November? I would be very interested to know, and if so, comment, question, anything down below as always, and I will hopefully see you in a video soon. Bye!